You know any video with ice cream is going to be something good. Well, unless you're lactose intolerant. But anything with ice cream makes shit better. So this is bound to be a damn good video. I know the YouTube artist thinking, that pointy end of the ice cream cone is a good way to go fuck myself. So what the fuck does ice cream have to do with Destiny? Well, when it comes to my analogies, everything. While I haven't done the raid and trials yet to see the entire game, I binge played all weekend to get an idea of how Destiny 2 compares to the original. And the best analogy I can offer you guys is ice cream. Now, a few years ago, I did another ice cream video. If I kicked you in the dick and offered you ice cream, would you still be mad? This ain't that video. This is a comparison of vanilla and chocolate. As many will recognize, Destiny launched 3 years ago and then rolled out expansions, otherwise known as areas they were fucking unlocking because they rushed the goddamn game and didn't finish that shit. Whatever, there's no point in bitching about that now too much. But anyways, with each expansion, to distinguish itself with each release, the launch Destiny became known as Vanilla Destiny, and over more time, shit was added. Now, oddly enough, that's a really great starting point to the analogy and comparison I'm making between the two games today, because I want to focus on the launch products of each one. What did Destiny look like 3 years ago compared to now, because the game is seeing significant improvements. Vanilla Destiny, at best, was mediocre. There is no arguing that. And when I mean Vanilla Destiny, we're talking like fucking fake vanilla, not even like vanilla extract. Certainly not vanilla being ice cream where, you know, you see like the flecks of vanilla sprinkled throughout the product and shit like that gives it a much better flavor. Nah, motherfucker. This was straight up imitation vanilla ice cream. Few months later, the Dark Below launched, and that was like adding chocolate chips to the vanilla ice cream. So now, we have fake vanilla chip ice cream or vanilla chocolate chip ice cream, whatever the fuck you want to call that shit. It's an improvement, but let's be honest, I can add my own fucking chocolate chips to the ice cream, motherfucker. House of Wolves then launched, and that was like adding some almond pieces to the ice cream now. So, we now have vanilla chip with almond ice cream, which again, is an improvement over just plain vanilla ice cream. Then the Taken King comes out and pretty much altered the entire ice cream. It was a massive improvement to make Destiny significantly better. That's like adding a caramel swirl, a dulce de leche, you know, to the ice cream. Now you have this like caramel, vanilla chip ice cream with almonds. That shit sounds pretty fucking good. In April, we then got a free update known as Taken Spring, which once again made some minor improvements to the game that was needed and add some better benefits and ideas to the Taken King itself. That's like now using real vanilla instead of this imitation shit we've been putting in the ice cream. You didn't need a new ingredient, you just improved on the quality of the items that were already in there. That's basically what the Taken Spring did. So you now have a caramel vanilla bean ice cream with chocolate chips and almonds. Finally, we got Rise of Iron, and then we got the final addition to your ice cream. Rise of Iron was like adding fudge chunks to the shit. And now you have one massive fucking pint of like Ben & Jerry's ice cream in that bitch. At this point, you now have vanilla bean ice cream with a caramel swirl, chocolate chips, fudge chunks, and almonds. I don't know about you, but that right there sounds like some fucking tasty shit. Now, obviously, you had to pay for most of the ingredients. But in all honesty, it's a far cry from the imitation vanilla you got at launch, which brings me to Destiny 2. While I won't review the whole fucking thing yet, I will say this. So far, I see the improvements. I see the things that missed the mark again, because there are some things that really fell short when it came to the sequel. But at the very least, Bungie took the steps to ensure this wasn't going to be another imitation vanilla Destiny. At the same time, they took out a lot of the cool ingredients that made it at the end of that awesome ice cream that I was just talking about. What they did do was create Chocolate Destiny. Now, hear me out for a second. Anyone that knows how to create ice cream, you know that you have to start out with pretty much the same ingredients. You start out with an ice cream, pretty much making what will be a custard or a creme anglaise. And then from there, you start adding your flavors afterwards. Destiny 1 added imitation vanilla, and then all the mix-ins later. Destiny 2, though, starts the same way, except this time, they added high-quality chocolate. They learned not to use the cheap shit from the first game. They knew not to fuck around with crap-ass ingredients and make sure that if you're going to do something different, you do it with the best ingredients possible. So instead of like fucking Hershey's chocolate powder or some shit, we got like 70% dark cacao beans in this motherfucker. They didn't skimp out this time. No imitation shit. They started out with the good shit right off the bat. The trade-off, though, is that all the mix-ins and all the add-ons we got after the fact are gone. No chocolate chips, no caramel swirl, no fucking almonds, because apparently some kid had a fucking peanut allergy. So they had to remove all the fucking almonds because some dumbass didn't read the label and now files a lawsuit in this bitch. Oh, motherfucker, don't even get me started on that shit. Besides the point, we didn't get any of that shit. We know in the future there are going to be 2 DLC packs, which we're going to pay for some extra mix-ins. But for now, the best way to describe Destiny 1 versus Destiny 2 is that the base quality is clearly improved. It shows that in 3 years, Bungie certainly learned what not to do at launch and learn how to improve a flawed product into something better. How this game stands on its own will be a video for another day, because I want to run the raid and trials before I make that distinction. But one thing that I don't think is fair is comparing Chocolate Destiny 2 with Vanilla Bean, Caramel, Chip, Fudge, Chunk, Almond, Motherfucker Destiny all the way at the end of its lifestyle. That's not a fair comparison by any means, and just the name of that alone implies so. I know people will point out that Destiny 1 finished with 4 raids, 1 arena, 16 strikes, umpteen fucking Crucible maps, and that's all good, but you're comparing an end product to a beginning product. You know, it's sort of like buying a car. You bought a car 3 years ago. Doesn't matter which one, but you buy a car, right? BMW, Honda Civic, motherfucking minivan, doesn't matter. And in those 3 years, you decided to add tinted windows. You decided to upgrade your upholstery from fabric to like fine Corinthian leather. You updated the sound system and added some spinning rims because you want your fucking minivan to look badass. You want to pick up your kids at soccer practice and be the cool parent mobile. You know what I'm talking about? Looking gangster like you pimped out a fucking minivan. Fine. But now you want a newer model. It's time for a newer car. Time to get something better for whatever reason. Do you think it's fair comparing your hooked up car, something that you invested in, to a brand new one that you haven't invested any time or money in? No, man, that ain't right. You know, minivans don't come with spinning rims. You know the BMW M5 doesn't come with fucking hydraulics. Oh God, I swear to God, seeing M5 on hydraulics is the most ghetto shit you ever see in your life. But motherfucker, people still do that shit, man. Anyway, do you hold that against the newer car, that your shit doesn't come fully customized yet? No, of course not. You have to add all that shit in afterwards. So looking at the end game Destiny 1, comparing that to the beginning game Destiny 2, it's a bit of an unfair comparison. Destiny 2 has made improvements. It drives better, it handles better, has more safety features, better gas mileage, but you still have to wait for some upgrades in this motherfucker. That's only fair. So that's why my comparison is strictly Vanilla Destiny 1 to Chocolate Destiny 2, because you see the improvements better that way. You see the storytelling has improved. There's an actual fucking story this time around, so that wasn't far enough. You know, people say, oh, the story improved from Destiny 1. Well, yeah, Destiny 1 didn't have a fucking story. But no, realistically, Destiny 2 does have a pretty good narrative at the very least. You see that the loot system has mildly improved. I mean, they still have some problems with this motherfucker. I mean, there's no more reason to explore a loot cave this time around. The ranking up is the problem, but the loot sure isn't the problem this time around. The environment has added more things to do. I mean, by far and away. You can go exploring that shit, and there's so much to do when it comes to the environment. And probably the biggest overall improvement is the lore is in the game. Yes, no more fucking cards on a website telling you what happened prior to the game, or telling you what important characters are and what they mean. This time around, we have a definitive way of getting background in the story. That is a dramatic improvement from Destiny 1. The one point that I do have to make, and it's a strike against Destiny 2 though, is the scope of the story. It's better story, hands down, don't get me wrong. It brings us back the most important character, the Traveler, which we haven't fucking seen because basically all the expansion packs ignored that motherfucker. But I do have to say, this story really does focus solely on one faction. It's a Cabal-themed story. There's no way around that. And the other enemy factions are just in the game for background purposes. That's really it. The Fallen, the Vex really have no purpose in this story other than a few plot devices, which obviously I'm not going to spoil on this motherfucker. We have the Hive and the Taken, and again, minor characters. But to a certain extent, the Taken makes sense because Oryx fucked up the Cabal when he came to fight the Guardians. It really doesn't make sense that they traveled all the way to the fucking moon of Mars, then let this big-ass ship out by Saturn or whatever. You know what? I'm not going to talk about the Taken King in this one. He took a shitload of Cabal soldiers, turned them against their own soldiers, and he made a war. But now we have a war against us and the Cabal. So whatever. I understand. The Cabal want revenge. It makes sense. But the Fallen, and particularly the Vex, have almost no place in this particular story. It's very similar to how each expansion pack worked. The Dark Below was Hive-focused. House of Wolves was Fallen. Taken King was Taken and Oryx. Then the Rise of Iron had those fucking Pirate Fallen, whatever the fuck. And the original Destiny was more focused on sort of like the Vex, with the Black Garden as the end boss, and of course Atheon as a raid boss and whatnot. So the scope is a touch off, but it's a smart sacrifice that they had to make in order to make a cohesive story. I get it. It works. But it's still a sacrifice Bungie knew they had to make in order to keep the story of this game moving along. Overall, Chocolate Destiny is a far improvement over Vanilla Destiny. There is no question about that. And eventually, Chocolate Destiny is going to get some walnut pieces, white chocolate chunks, raspberry swirls, and all the other good shit that Vanilla Destiny got after the fact. But this time around, Bungie is starting with a much better base to build off of. Anyways, this is not the full review of Destiny yet. That's coming in the future. I still got some more shit to accomplish. Still got to run my raids, trials. Then I'll be able to give you a full comparison of what this game can really do. So as always, rate, comment, subscribe, and all that good shit. And I'll see you guys in the next video.